Hi there, and welcome to this short video showing the design time configuration for an AI control tower. As you probably are already aware, the AI control tower framework does a few things. For one, it helps customers operationalize AI through process and democratize access to this game-changing technology. And finally, it provides control and governance over AI costs and precise control over how AI will impact a process. Now, if you're learning about the AI Control Tower for the very first time and haven't seen the other videos on this topic, be aware that it is a framework that AgilePoint provides. There are a number of out-of-the-box integrations into leading AI services, things like Azure Machine Learning, as well as Amazon SageMaker, but feel free to bring your own model through the extensible framework. So before we actually show the configuration, I'd like to spend just a brief moment talking about the functionality that you're going to see. So in this particular case, our control tower has been configured to the precise specifications of the logistics team participating in a new sales order application. Now, with the current fulfillment configuration, if there is a high likelihood that our products will not reach the customer by the date that we've promised, we're going to see the control tower take an autonomous action to adapt the process. So what we're going to see, if that delay scenario is likely, is we're going to see the control tower automatically roll the process backwards from waiting for shipment back to the logistics team, where we can fix the manner of shipment, delivery date, and things of that nature to avoid an unhappy customer. So now that we have a high-level understanding of what's going to happen with our control tower, let's hop into AgilePoint and show you that configuration during design time. Okay, so now that we've moved into my AgilePoint environment, let's bring up our order-to-cash application here in design mode. So as you can see, just like any typical AgilePoint application, I have a combination of human actions as well as system activities for my process. Now across the top, we have 3 control towers which are each tuned to the specific needs of various stakeholders and actors within our process. Now you're probably wondering, where do these come from? And that's all here on the left-hand side. So as an example, each of these are coming from one of the out-of-the-box integrations for Amazon SageMaker. So as you're seeing here, scrolling through the list, we have agents around image classification, as well as gaining predictions, adapting the flow, and running ad hoc sub-processes. So all of these can be used together to improve, personalize, and mass customize the execution of a business process. Now, turning our attention back to the control towers that we see here on screen, as I mentioned, we have 3 of them, each tuned to the various stakeholder needs in our larger end-to-end application. Now, as far as configuration, all of them are going to be very similar, but let's drill into the shipping and logistics scenario that we've just walked through. Okay, so let's first go ahead and select our model. And as we mentioned earlier, we can have any number of these models layered in together. But first, I'm going to select how I'm connecting to my SageMaker AI service, as well as selecting the specific endpoint that I'd like to use. Now, the AI Control Tower framework is an event-driven framework which allows me to subscribe to various process events and provide advanced filtering as to when I'd like to invoke a given control tower, which helps me with precise control over how AI will impact the process, but also helps ensure that costs are kept reasonable by only leveraging AI and the scenarios that can most benefit from it. So as you can see here, I have a number of different activities that I can subscribe to. In my case here, it's a wait for shipment stage in this particular process. And my specific event is when we enter that activity instance. Now further down below, I have my filter or triggering condition where I can build complex logic to ensure that I only invoke the AI when it's absolutely required. Moving on to our request mapping, you're seeing here I have an option to configure my request. And what you'll find is, just like mapping in any other integration in the AgilePoint platform, it's all done from my App Data Explorer, where there are various form fields, process variables, or data sources that I can then pass to my model. So I would configure this through point and click and drag and drop into the appropriate columns. Now from a response perspective, what we're going to see here is that SageMaker gives me a set of default fields. So the label, this is going to be the best next step that the model is suggesting. As well as the probability. In other words, the percent likelihood that the prediction is going to be correct. So as you can see here, very straightforward visual mapping enables someone who might be a subject matter expert in this particular process to easily access and leverage these AI capabilities as a part of an application. And finally, under additional actions, I can set my action trigger condition. So here, as you're seeing, I'm going to build rules such that if the prediction is to adapt the flow, I can specify where I'd like my process to go next. Now, in this particular case, for the logistics scenario, we're going to have the process rolled backwards to the shipping detail step. But as you're seeing here, I have the option to select any other step within my process. And additionally, this can also be a variable so that the model determines the best next step of my business process. So let's quickly take a look at how these rules have been configured. So as you're seeing here, if the risk is not low and the probability for a missed shipment is greater than 36%, then we're going to invoke that change flow action. Now, obviously, in your case, your parameters might be different, but hopefully this gives you a sense as to how we can configure the rules that drive control tower behavior. Okay, and lastly here, you're going to see that both the status information and any error messages are stored in their respective process variables. And down below, as you're seeing here, I have superior exception handling, such that I can choose to suspend or continue with the process in the event that an exception occurs, as well as enable debugging. Okay, so now that I've finished configuring my control tower, I can go ahead and click Finish. But I would like to take a look at one more control tower. So as you can see here, I have a prediction-driven control tower that enables me to initiate a sub-process that does not otherwise exist in this application. So what you're going to find here is that the configuration for the first 4 or so tabs is going to be very similar. So I'm going to select my model, navigate over to additional actions, with the main difference here being I can select from a globally reusable sub-process that I can initiate when certain conditions are met. So now that I've configured the sub-process that I'd like to dynamically instantiate, you're noticing here that I can start that sub-process only under certain sessions, the first session or for all sessions, as an example. Okay, so that's going to conclude the content for this video. I hope that gives you a better understanding of how accessible using AI can be as a part of an application leveraging AgilePoint's AI Control Tower. And just a quick reminder that though there are existing control towers using both AWS SageMaker as well as Azure Machine Learning, you are free to bring in your own providers through the extension framework. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.